Career Choices, Why It Works. For nearly 2 decades, we've been asked this question. What is it about the Career Choices curriculum that makes it so life-changing for so many young people? In this training module and the 3 overview modules entitled Who Am I? What Do I Want? And How Do I Get It? We'll answer that question. Then, as you go about the task of planning and facilitating your own course, you'll have a deeper understanding of the strategies, options, and benefits. What makes the Career Choices curriculum unique and effective? Simply, it is an academically based curriculum repackaged in a thematic format to address the developmental needs of the early adolescent. How? It teaches a critical decision-making process for life-defining decisions. It culminates in a 10-year career and education plan that helps young people envision a productive life of their own choosing. At the same time, it answers a pressing and crucial question: why do I need a good education? It is different, by design, and therefore less threatening for all students. It melds high-tech with high-touch, which is so important for student buy-in to the content and the concepts presented. The bottom line? By changing attitudes, it changes lives. Globalization, technological advancement, not to mention the ups and downs of the world's economy, will continue to define the workplace in ways we've never experienced. Success in the modern job market hinges on a person's willingness to work hard, learn continuously, and adapt when necessary. Career Choices makes these facts abundantly clear by guiding students to the realization that completing high school is just the tip of the educational iceberg. More importantly, it gives students the tools and the long-term plan to succeed well beyond high school. Whether your students are headed for an Ivy League college or an entry-level job, they all crave a clear sense of direction for their lives. Career Choices was created so you can help them develop a personalized, career-inclusive 10-year educational plan. As they work through the chapters, students learn a self-discovery and planning process that culminates with a plan to make high school graduation a reality, enter and complete college or post-secondary education or training, which will help them transition into a productive and self-sufficient adulthood. Here is an important concept. It is a student's ability to project into the future and understand the consequences of today's actions that is critical to dropout prevention. According to researcher Michael Resnick, author of one of the most respected studies on teen pregnancy prevention, students who have no vision of their future nor understand the consequences of their decisions are far more likely to engage in behaviors that jeopardize their futures, such as dropping out of school or becoming a teen parent. Throughout a Career Choices course, students are constantly asked to examine the consequences of life choices, first through case studies about other people, and then based on their own plans. In this way, the curriculum offers ongoing practice to this critical skill. When students have a vision of a productive future and a detailed and personalized plan to realize their goals, the consequences of dropping out, whether it's high school or college, become abundantly clear. Choosing a career for life is not the purpose of this curriculum, but it is important that students become career committed and career focused at an early age. Don't fall into the trap of thinking you can wait until college. After all, what was it about your college experience that prepared you to choose a career? On the other hand, studies show that entering college freshmen who have a career plan are far more likely to graduate in 4 years than those who go to school because they know it's expected of them, or they know they're good students and college is the next logical step. Career Choices is more than a career exploration curriculum. In hindsight, we probably should have named it Success 101. Yes, it does meet the stringent standards of career exploration courses. For instance, it's been adopted in the state of Texas. It has been described as career exploration on steroids. It goes beyond the basic topic and addresses important adolescent developmental issues. Career Choices tackles developmental topics not found in other courses. For instance, many young people need to overcome emotional obstacles or preconceived notions in order to push forward and reach their career and life goals. Many do not have the vast reserve of personal experience to draw from, at least not yet, especially if no one in their family previously had high ambitions. To address this, Career Choices uses 3 chapters to help focus on dozens of scenarios teens may encounter with trepidation, while offering practical advice on how to proceed. In order for young people to stay in school and strive to achieve, they must first see how education is relevant to their current and their future lives. Most of us can relate to sitting in a class like geometry, for example, and thinking, when will I ever be asked to use the Pythagorean theorem in real life? However, because career choices convincingly illustrates how math, reading, writing, and technology, even great literature, specifically connects to their future and their careers, students become engaged in their academic classes and their skill levels and grades increase. Educators are amazed when even their most reluctant students embrace this course and the concepts it presents. This buy-in happens because the material deals with a young person's most critical issues. We can all take a lesson from Madison Avenue. As advertising agencies, it's their job to get someone to buy into something, whether it's a product, a service, or a movement. What's their secret? Advertisers strive to answer the question, what's in it for me? That is a key goal of the Career Choices curriculum. To answer the student's question, education, what's in it for me? Why should I stay in school and apply myself? In the high school redesign movement, everyone is talking about bringing real-world relevance into the curriculum. Here's why. It's known as the motivational cycle. It starts when an individual sees how a subject will benefit them. That insight increases their motivation to understand the topic. Their motivation causes comprehension to increase, which in turn raises their skill level. With higher skill levels, they experience success, which then drives up their self-confidence and self-esteem, which increases their motivation to do even better, which causes their comprehension to increase, and so it goes. So throughout your Career Choices course, continue to point out the benefits of what they are learning and how having a 10-year plan will help them realize their most cherished dreams and goals. Timing is important. This course was designed to be a transition course into high school, either in the 8th or 9th grade. Later in high school, too many students have already made academic or personal choices that have set their lives on a trajectory, a path that may or may not lead to the fulfillment of their vision of their future. In a study by the Rand Corporation, the freshman year was described as the critical filter because it was during that time that students made educational and personal choices that started limiting their future opportunities. To take advanced math or not, to become sexually active or not, to apply themselves to their schoolwork or not. In addition, studies have shown that up to 62% of students who eventually drop out made the decision as early as November of their freshman year. That fact alone points to either the 8th or 9th grade year as the ideal time to change their attitude before it's too late. Let's take a look at the Career Choices main textbook, and let's explore the ingredients of its success. When you first flip through the book, your initial reaction may be to question the seriousness of the text. Don't let appearances fool you. The Career Choices curriculum is different, by design. That design is part of the curriculum's success. Made to look like a journal, something personal, the design of the main text was meant to convey an important message to both students and teachers alike. You are about to embark on something very different. It is designed for active learning, rich in self-discovery exercise activities and format, in a carefully formulated scope and sequence arrangement. The nearly 100 exercises and activities were carefully designed to lead the learner through an important decision-making process for developing a vision and a plan for a productive future. That is why we say, don't skip around by picking exercises and activities here and there. Skills learned and data collected in earlier chapters will be used in later chapters as students work towards their quantitative and meaningful 10-year plan. We conducted focus groups of teens when designing Career Choices. They wanted it to look like a journal, not a textbook. They didn't want to see pictures of other people in their books, and they gravitated to the fine art look that you see today. We wanted the appearance to be non-threatening because the contents and the topics explored will prod students to examine issues that will stretch their understanding of themselves and their futures. Sometimes that can be intimidating. So don't be fooled by the look. Career Choices is not lightweight. It is first and foremost an academically based curriculum using reading, writing, and computation to teach a decision-making process that the learner will use throughout their lives. It provides an opportunity to practice these necessary academic skills in the context of exploring their most critical questions and issues. As your students work through the textbook, chapter by chapter, answering the questions found in the sections titled, Who am I? What do I want? And how do I get it? You'll expose them to systems, formats, and formulas that they'll use throughout their lives, particularly when making significant long-term decisions. Where to live, who and when to marry, when and if to have children, just to name a few. How will they learn this process? Through questioning versus didactic text, active learning rather than passive listening, critical, creative, and strategic thinking versus memorization. The lecture format should only be a small part of your teaching strategy. In order to promote the higher order thinking skills so coveted in today's workplace, Career Choices offer daily opportunities for students to think critically by synthesizing, analyzing, and evaluating information about the most fantastic topic for any adolescent, themselves. And in the process, they'll learn a multidimensional, systematic approach using activities such as self-assessments, graphs, surveys, diagramming, and charts, just to name a few. This is why you'll want to encourage your students to keep their consumable workbook and portfolio after the course is over. Persuade them to keep it in a special place, such as with their other family albums. That way they can refer to these simple decision-making prompts when life-changing events occur. Throughout the course, you'll want to encourage them to practice the habit of asking themselves, who am I today? What do I want now? And then be proactive and make a plan for getting it, and updating their 10-year plan in the process. In the next 3 training modules, we'll go into more depth on the course content. One way to become familiar with this material is to work through a copy yourself. Why not take the position of determining your next career after you retire from education? You'll discover that the process is ageless. As you experience the activities and process yourself, it won't be unusual if you think, wow, I wish I would have had this when I was growing up.